Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. And it seems that Canada has fallen. It's collapsing because we don't know what Canada is anymore, or even Canada knows what it is anymore, because they have introduced a bill that will put you into life in prison. It seems like the free speech is falling or collapsing across the world. Obviously, some of it has already been illegal for some points now. So there's that. But we're not too far off, honestly. More to come with that today. So we have this new liberal online harms bill to make online hate punishable up to life in prison. Bill C-63 aims to force social media user uploaded adult content and live streaming services to reduce exposure to online content deemed harmful. The federal government tabled its long-awaited online harms bill on Monday, which is already shaping up to become a delicate political battle over freedom of expression on the internet, while also aiming to provide more protections for children. Bill C-63 aims to force social media user uploaded adult content and live streaming services to reduce exposure to online content deemed harmful, to strengthen the reporting of child pornography, and better to address hate propaganda and provide recourse to victims of hate online. It also amends the criminal code to create a new standalone hate crime offense that would allow penalties up to life imprisonment to deter hateful conduct, as well as raise the maximum penalties for hate propaganda offenses from 5 years to life imprisonment for advocating genocide. I'm the father of two youngsters, and I like parents and grandparents around Canada. I'm terrified by the dangers that lurk on the internet for our children, and said Justice Minister Arif Virani on Monday as the Liberals unveiled the bill. I'm also a Muslim. The hatred that festers online is radicalizing people, and that radicalization has real-world impacts for my community and for so many other communities, added Virani. Hateful content is defined in the legislation as content that incites violence, that foments hatred, that incites violent extremism or terrorism, is used to bully a child, that sexually victimizes a child, that induces a child to harm themselves, or intimate content communicated without consent. Now, here's the thing that I have a problem with this bill in particular, and it's the fact that you're trying to govern speech. That's just pretty much straight up what it is. Now, obviously, we can go into discussions and talk about, pornography and stuff like that. That's actually online that would be deemed harmful to children. I do think that social media should be at the certain age requirement. Maybe they should put that in the bill. Maybe that would have been significantly better, because they're using it as a forefront, right? They're using the child victimization thing as a forefront to try to get people more active into wanting to accept this bill. It's all behind what's really going on with the bill, because they said it here with hatred that incites violent extremism or terrorism, or is used to bully a child, that sexually victimizes a child, etc., etc. And while the whole point of bullying a child and sexually victimizing a child is great and all, and I support that side of the bill, the problem is I have the form of hatred that incites violent or extremism or terrorism, which we all know the left views completely differently compared to anybody else that's on the right. So what would be considered hatred or violent extremism or terrorism would probably be, misgendering somebody, or trying to, the gender affirmation and stuff like that, and all that stuff, which is what the left would deem as hatred, so therefore they would put you in life in prison for something like that. Now, again, as I said, bullying the child and stuff like that, for online, that can be a-okay in my book, because that stuff needs to be regulated. Obviously, I think that, when it comes down to stuff like this, I say you should make it a law where kids have to be a certain age before they get onto social media. That's one thing. Because, again, I have said this numerous times on my channel, that if you're going to do something like this, then you need to obviously have some type of age requirements. I think social media has been terrible for children. I think most parents shouldn't allow their children on social media at all for until at least the bare minimum of age of 16, because I truly believe that, because it has not done good for children whatsoever. We have this that says here that the bill also creates a digital safety commissions, which will be responsible for enforcing rules and holding online services accountable, as well as separate digital safety buts in person which will support and advocate for the users and make recommendations to social media services and the government. The legislation is mostly focused on protecting minors against online sexual abuse, extortion, and exploitation, which have been seeing a sharp increase in recent years. In the span of a decade, RSMP National Child Exploitation Crime Center reports have increased by 1,077%. Now, that could also be due to the fact that when people have open borders, that also increases, child endangerment and stuff like that. Along with, maybe also the child endangerment is with you guys also allowing the children to have the ability to delete themselves from existence and many other things that your own country is doing to children, which, you guys don't want to talk about that, but I digress. Online services will be forced to remove two categories of content: intimate and content, communicate without risk content, such as revenge, porn, or content that sexually victimizes a child or re-victimizes a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Which, again, I wholeheartedly agree on that aspect. Users of these online services will be able to either flag the content directly on the online service or file a complaint to the Digital Safety Commission. Both channels would have screened any service flags or complaints that result in the removal of the content within 24 hours subject to review. The legislation is also forces the online services to adopt special protections for children, such as parental controls, content warning labels for children, or automatic disabling of certain features. Now, I don't think parental controls or even parental rights is even a thing in Canada whatsoever, as you're slowly trying to erode that from Canada, as we see, and it's also happening here in this country as well, at the great USA. So obviously, it's not really just a Canada thing. It's a Western thing, and that is a thing that's constantly ongoing here. Finally, online services will have to continuously assess, mitigate, and report on the risks to users posed by their services, provide tools to flag content and block users, and create a internal point of contact for user complaints. It will also have to identify measures taken to reduce exposure to harmful content. Online services that do not abide by the rules and could be subject to severe penalties as high as 6% of global revenue or $10 million, whichever is greater. Not all online services are covered under this legislation, as only those that are above a certain threshold of users, which will be set out in regulation. Private and encrypted messaging services such as direct messaging and emails are also excluded. The bill amends the Canadian Human Rights Act to specify that posting hate speech online is discrimination, to empower people to file complaints against individuals posting hate speech at the Canadian Human Rights Commission, and to create a process of assessing the hate speech complaints. Government officials confirmed that the legislation is when initiating some of the powers under the previous Section 13 of the Canadian Human Rights Act, which was repealed by former Prime Minister Stephen Harper's government in 2013. But they say it will take into account some of the criticism over curtailing free speech. The controversial section had prohibited any speech likely to expose a person or persons to hatred or contempt, and was criticized for being too broad and resulting in censorship of contentious opinions. Yeah, so this is what's going on here in Canada. Really crazy. It's insane. And my biggest problem is that their ability to wanting to govern speech is my huge problem. It has nothing to do with the actual the kids thing, because I don't think the kids thing or what have you is a actual speech problem. But what I am looking at is that they're trying to ban speech in some kind of regard, and this is disgusting, and I think it literally just needs to be stopped. So, Canadians, you have a hard fight against you. Hopefully you'll be able to fight for your country, but only some of you have, and a lot of you are just kind of letting it go all to hell. So I hope you're enjoying your fascist dictatorship and all that great stuff, because, well, it's not going too great. Alright guys, that's the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.